Colorado now 8 spring practices in. And Brian, one of the first things Mel Tucker said when he got this job at his intro press conference was, this is no longer an excuses program. He's really held to that. Mm-hmm. You know, I think as media, sometimes you like those one-liners that jump off the page, but he's very consistent in his message. And even the other day when I talked about the lack of bodies on the D-line, he didn't want to use that as any type of excuse for what they can get done.
Yeah, and also asked him the other day about no experience basically at running back. He said, we'll coach him up. You know, you got to love that approach, and love the fact that I don't think he's just constantly like, oh, I better say this because I've said no excuses. That's just the way he feels, and everything we've asked him, he just comes out and says, hey, this is what we got to deal with, and there's only 5 defensive linemen. Oh well, no experience at running back. Oh well, but yeah, he's held to that, and I think that that's really paid off here so far this spring.
Another thing he said very emphatically again today was, if you're not physical, if you're not willing to hit, you will not play football for me. Yeah,
it's interesting. You can tell when you hit a topic that he's very passionate about. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we'll ask him questions and he'll give kind of a low-key answer, then move on. But his answer to that question, physical seems to be kind of a trademark here. He went off for a little while about how you better play physical, and he's told the guys, everything you do, you better be physical. You're not playing here.
We've both had a chance to talk to the new offensive line coach, Chris Katpolovic, and first off, he sounds like an offensive line coach when you talk to him. He talked about they've thrown a lot at Tim Lynott Jr. this spring, and they're happy with what he's done there. He said a lot of other guys have shown just flashes. He mentioned Casey Roddick, Jack Shutak at tackle, even Corey Cush, who we mentioned after that open practice, was getting run with the ones. A few guys. What were the main things you took away when you talked to him earlier this spring?
Yeah, I think a lot of it was just him wanting to move guys around everywhere, and he talked a lot about I want that depth chart to change every day and moving guys around. He did mention Lynott and saying he's playing like a senior, which is really good, and acting like a senior, which is good. And I had talked to him a little week or so ago before you did, and so they were a little less in the spring and hadn't been quite as physical yet. So when I talked to him, they needed to see more time in pads, but he was really liking some of the things. Will Sherman, he was very complimentary of, but it certainly sounds like he likes the talent here, but there's a lot of work to be done.
Yeah, he mentioned that Will Sherman got hurt in practice last Friday. He didn't think he was going to be able to go on Monday. He showed up and had his best practice of spring ball, so that was an encouraging sign. He also said, hey, the offense starts with my group, and if we don't perform well, we're not going to have a successful offense. So definitely taking ownership of what his position means to this team.
Yeah, he said that to me too. And this is a guy that's been an OC, so he knows the value of the offensive line as a piece of that whole group. And he knows if they're not playing well, Steven's on his back, or the running backs can't run the football. So maybe that's why Mel Tucker is not too worried about experience, because he knows, hey, if our offensive line plays, it doesn't really matter the experience at running back. But yeah, I like Cap's approach at this point.
You had a chance to talk to James Stefanou, place kicker. We're not going to mention his age. That's overblown. He's just a Colorado Buffalo. What was your takeaway from that interview?
Yeah, you and I always laugh because there was that game last year with the announcer. Go back and watch it. And even I think it was Brock Heward, the color guy, was like, dude, are you going to stop saying that? We know he's old. But James is he's healthy, and that's huge for him. And he was not really healthy all last year. He told me that the one game that he felt healthy was the Cal game last year, which was the last game of the year. Just not healthy at all last year, and that showed. Obviously, he missed several games, but it showed in his performance a couple of times. He just he didn't have it, and he knows that. He feels like. I asked him if he's back to 2017 for him, and he said better. He said his technique's better, his fundamentals are better, his range is better, his leg strength is better. So he said he hit a 67-yarder recently in practice, and it feels comfortable from anywhere.
He might be my favorite player to talk to on this entire football team.
He's awesome. I mean, you talk about kickers and like, well, we'll get to kickers later, but that's the guy that I almost want to talk to every day. Like, all right, what's going on, James? He's a great guy, and I think he's been a good addition to this team. He's got to be one of the top 4 or 5 guys that I've enjoyed interviewing in my time covering the Buffs.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when I was thinking about James Stefanou being a great interview. I'd say Scotty McKnight is up there for me. It's no surprise he's a rock star in life now. Right. Really enjoyed George, the rabid goldfish Hippolyte. He was a guy that would talk about literally anything, and it's not a surprise that he's a successful lawyer now.
Right.
Who else stands out on your short list?
Well, I think if you look at, certainly stars, I mean, Philip Lindsay and Stefo Lufau for me were two guys I really enjoyed talking to over the time, got to know them quite a bit, and had several, one-on-one conversations with Stefo, where he opened up a little bit, and so we had a good relationship, and same with Philip. So I've always liked those guys, and Ryan Moeller had an interesting take on things sometimes, but I enjoyed talking to him. Watched him from all the way back in high school, and so I always enjoyed talking to him. And boy, there's a lot of guys. I mean, there's been some good guys here. Pretty good group that they've had here. A few guys that are tougher to interview, but the Irwin brothers were fun to talk to at times too.
Yeah, I'd say Tyler Hansen. Now that I'm thinking of it, what was a good one? We're kind of lucky in the sense that there have been a lot more guys that have been great to interview than the other way around. Right. You always have that couple guys on a football team that try to avoid interviews for whatever reason. Right. But generally, we've been pretty lucky.
We have, and another one we were talking about before this, Doug Rippey. He was pretty good as well, and he was always a candid guy, and he's still active around. Follows the Buffs, and he was a good guy as well. So yeah, we've been pretty lucky, and I think that we're lucky in that people talk about the access and the close practices and all that. That's just kind of standard. But one thing that I've always been grateful for with CU and their staff is that they've allowed us to be pretty open with interviews. And there's a lot of places around the country where you're limited in who you can talk to. And hey, you're going to get these guys today, and that's it. CU doesn't do that, and I think that's really helped those guys really open up. But I think it's really helped us to develop good relationships with these guys.
No question. All right. Well, the Buffaloes are going to conduct a practice on Friday. We'll be back with some analysis then.